Assalamu alaikum. Before any accident happens, there's always a warning sign. But the real question is, do we recognize it on time? Today, we are going to talk about real workplace risk assessment and how we can identify hazards, evaluate risks, and most importantly, prevent accidents. So first of all, let's understand what is risk assessment. Risk assessment is a systematic process used to identify hazards, evaluate the level of risk, and apply suitable control measures to ensure workers remain safe. In simple words, a hazard is anything that has the potential to cause harm, and risk is the likelihood that this harm will actually occur. Every workplace, whether it is a construction site, a factory, or even an office, has hazards present. Now let's move towards a real example. Imagine a construction site where an excavator is operating, materials are being lifted, and workers are working at height. Now ask yourself, what hazards can you identify here? Moving machinery, which can cause serious injuries or even fatalities. Working at height, where there is a high risk of falling. Noise from heavy equipment, which can lead to permanent hearing loss. And poor housekeeping, which can result in slips, trips, and falls. This is how we identify hazards, by carefully observing the workplace. The next step is to identify who might be harmed and how. Machine operators may suffer crush injuries or entanglement. Helpers and visitors may be struck by moving equipment. Workers at height may fall and sustain serious injuries or fractures. Nearby workers may suffer hearing damage due to continuous noise exposure. Understanding this step is very important because it helps us focus on protection. Now comes the most important part, control measures. To control risk effectively, we use something called the hierarchy of control. At the top, we have elimination, which means removing the hazard completely. Then comes substitution, replacing the hazard with a safer alternative. Next, engineering controls, such as machine guards, barriers, and isolation. Then administrative controls, like training, safe procedures, supervision, and signage. And finally, PPE, personal protective equipment, such as helmets, gloves, safety shoes, and goggles. For example, we can install barriers around machinery to prevent unauthorized access. We can provide safety harnesses for workers working at height. We can ensure proper training for machine operators, and we can provide ear protection to workers exposed to high noise levels. But always remember, my PPE is the last line of defense. It should never be the only control. Now let's move to risk evaluation. After applying control measures, we must evaluate the remaining risk. We do this by considering two main factors: likelihood, how likely the accident is to happen, and severity, how serious the consequences could be. If the risk is still high, then additional control measures must be implemented. A good risk assessment always aims to reduce risk to an acceptable and safe level. Now another important point. Risk assessment is not a one-time activity. It must be reviewed regularly. For example, when new equipment is introduced, when there is a change in process, when an accident or near miss occurs, or when new hazards are identified, regular monitoring and review ensure that safety is continuously maintained. Now think about this. Most accidents do not happen suddenly. They happen because hazards were ignored, or risks were not properly controlled. That is why risk assessment plays a key role in accident prevention. It not only protects workers, but also improves productivity, reduces costs, and creates a positive safety culture. In fact, a workplace with good risk assessment practices is always more organized, more efficient, and more professional. So always remember, safety is not an option, it is a responsibility. A proper risk assessment can save lives, prevent injuries, and create a safe working environment. If you want to learn more about health and safety and improve your professional skills, make sure to follow our channel. Thank you.